Hey everybody, it's Zach and Steve, and we're back for another market overview for the Madison County, the Limestone County, and Morgan County. And we're actually going to be talking about April, May, and June's data, just to kind of get you guys caught up to speed and where we are. If it's your first time watching, welcome. You're here. You're watching Market Overview with the Madison County Real Estate Investors Association. I'm the president. This is the vice president.
Hello.
For those of you that know Steve, he's the agent of all time. Hey, listen, we've got a lot to talk about today in Market Overview. Stay with us. I'm going to flip to a real quick video from our sponsors. Be right back. All right, 3, 2, and 1. All right, there you go, guys. Reach out to any of our vendors if you need help from them, anything that you do. If they can help, be happy to let you get to know them. Also, come out to one of our monthly meetings. We meet every single month, the first Thursday of every month, except for July, because the first Thursday was on the 4th, and so now we're meeting on the 11th of July. So we have credit repair this month in July. August, we're going to be digging into land development, and then we're going to be moving into banking information. We've got lots in store for you at the monthly meeting. So come out, join us there. You can always go to MadisonCountyREIA.com and see all the good things that we have. So, Steve, this has been something that you've been anticipating.
I have.
You've been wanting to talk about this.
I have.
And I can see why. I'm looking at the data. We have our data sheets here, guys, and so good thing is we'll load these up, and they'll be underneath the video somewhere. You just got to click and download it. So some of the things that you're noticing, as well as I'm noticing, as you know, an agent and investor, because you're an investor too, I invest, is there's just not a lot of houses on the market.
Yeah. You know, 2 years of low inventory has started to make an impact on the market.
And answer this for me. What do you see coming, though? I mean, there's got to be an influx somewhere. Do you think it's either going to get created from builders coming in and building more, or do you think it's actually going to start to loosen up once the market changes, interest rates go up, a lot of these amortized loans start coming due on a lot of these properties, and we start seeing the foreclosure crisis again?
I hope not. I don't anticipate a down market in the next year. You never know, but I don't anticipate it. And what I'm seeing is that the banks are watching indicators. The lenders are watching indicators, and they get a little bit cold once in a while. And the builders are like, well, come on, I need some more money to keep building houses. But that slows them down. Yeah. And then the money starts coming back in because they realize, oh, it's not getting cold yet. So they start loaning money again. Right. So it's kind of a strange transition.
It is, and you're right. I mean, as I go around and talk to banks, I was just sitting with Bancorp the other day, and the president over there and the vice president, and we were talking about this, you know, like how they're still so heavy in the 1 to 4s, but they're pulling back from commercial right now because they have so much loans out there in commercial. Where then when I went and sat with North Alabama, they're pulling back from the 1 to 4s and they're going more into commercial.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Okay, so it's like you never know which bank is where. I mean, I think all that's regulated by the FDIC and how they can lend. But, you know, that's like I ran across a 20-unit apartment building. Well, I knew which bank to take it to because I knew North Alabama is looking for commercial. Right. And they were like, yeah, we're all about it. Like, bring it in. So, but that goes back to just knowing bankers, right? Like talking to them.
It does.
But let's talk about some data though, Steve. So let's just start with April, then we'll move into May.
Well, let me say one more thing. The big change that everyone needs to be aware of is that you know how we used to always pay closing cost?
Yeah.
Well, buyers aren't even asking for closing costs now. They know it's just not worth it. There are probably going to be multiple offers, and they're going to have to compete with the other offers. So if you're listing a flip and you're expecting to pay closing costs, you need to change your mindset. It is time for you to plan on not having to pay closing costs. Really? So figure that into your after repair value.
Well, that's good to hear because, I mean, I just contracted 2 flips and both of them asked for closing fees.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting.
One of them, they asked for closing fees just because they were tight on capital. So what we did was we raised the price. So we raised the
There
price,
you go. That works.
Right, because basically they're just financing their closing fees, right?
Exactly.
And I was like, hey, look, this is the number I want, but I'm willing to raise it by $4,000 so you can get $4,000 in closing fees.
And that's awesome.
Which basically I'm paying, but
Yeah.
they're financing it because I'm raising the price. Yes, but then the world of inspections happened.
That's true.
I got nailed on one of them with inspections. Oh man,
Don't you love it?
it was bad. It was real bad.
Michael must have done it.
No, he didn't. Another one, but this was and look, I don't want to scare everybody. We'll talk to the dad in just a minute, but this was a deal that I had a bad contractor on. Ended up getting me. I gave him like 6 projects, and I guess it was too much for him. He ended up getting me. I ended up having to fire him, and a lot of the things that were found in the inspection were under the crawl space and everything that he was supposed to have fixed. And look, I'm not going to crawl under a house.
I know it.
Like I'm going to get stuck if I'm under the house. So it is what it is. It's the nature of the beast, right? So, all right, well, let's talk about data. But this goes back to your point about low inventory. One of them, I had a contract on it, and it wasn't even listed in 24 hours.
Oh, yeah. Awesome.
Wasn't even on the market 24 hours, and we
it.
already had a listing accepted offer on it. So
Good.
all right, so let's talk about this. So we go into April. So this is the April data, and we can look at the May data as well on the other sheet from May to June. So if I look at from April to May, I can see that we sold 638 units in April, and in May 670.
Right.
And a year ago, we're up 40 houses from a year ago. And in May, we're only up 6 houses from a year ago.
Yeah. Okay.
And this is Madison County.
This is all of Madison County, including cities, small towns, and rural.
So from April to May, we had a jump in units sold. But then we talk about June. June, we had a drop.
We did. And I attribute it, I still see an incredibly strong market, but I really kind of attribute it to the fact that the inventory is staying low and there's just not that many houses
To be bought.
And
So with that, I'm going to play devil's advocate. Okay, off the data. Because if we look at May or April, volume sold, our average price sold was $239. We go over here to May, average price went up to $258. Then we go to June, average price went up to $260. So it's like the prices keep going up,
right,
because inventory's low.
Inventory's low. But now also June is vacation. You know, kids get out of school too.
Yeah, and prices still went up.
Yeah.
So for 3 months consistently, our average sales price has gone up, gone up, gone up, gone up.
Exactly.
On average sales. Now on median sales, it dropped by $1,000 from May to June. From 126 to 125.
Okay, that's right.
I mean 226 to 225, which isn't a big offset. I mean, the average sales it went up. Medium sell, it kind of pretty much stayed the same.
Right. The median sale in June dropped significantly, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. And if we look at median sell in May, it was 226. In June, it was 225.
Gotcha.
So
it was 225.9.
0.9. Right.
So that's
So it only dropped $200 really. So that's what I said. It's pretty much the same. So that tells us from April, May, June. I mean, we're just seeing it going up. But this is, to your point, low inventory, right? Because in May, our volume sold was 152 million. In April, it was 152 million. In May, it was 173 million, and then it dropped in June to 163 million. But that is in line with units sold too.
It is.
Not enough units sold to keep up with the volume in sales.
Exactly. Vacations and inventory.
Yeah, and talk about inventory. We had 3.1 months available of inventory in April. We had 3.19 in May, and we have 3.4 though in June.
Mm-hmm.
So we have more inventory in June, but less units sold
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
because of the previous month having low inventory. 3 months, that's tough.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just looking at a national site the other day, and the national average right now is like 4 point something, 4.3, 4.4.
Right. Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow.
So.
And that's just for Madison County, and Limestone is even better.
So yeah, so that's Madison County. So the signs for Madison County is this: market's doing great.
Yeah.
It's super hard to find a deal though, which says that we have to, as investors, if we're a one-trick pony, if we're only looking for rehabs, our business is probably hurting right now.
Right.
If you're going to the MLS. If
you can't.
Right, you're hurting. You're barely making any profits, if any. You're probably having to go after low price point houses just to find something. Which says that if you're an investor and rehabbing is your game, you have to be doing other marketing.
You do.
You have to be doing other marketing just to keep up with, the deal flow. Maybe your deal flows 4 months, maybe or 3 deals or 4 deals, or maybe it's 10 deals a year. You're just not going to keep up with that off the MLS.
If you find a deal on the MLS, there's going to be multiple offers.
Yes.
And then it's not going to last long. If you don't make an offer right away, it's gone. And the good deals are gone fast, really fast, with multiple offers. So it's just not a good way to pursue flips.
So this goes back to creating marketing plans, identifying a marketing source, creating your network to get out there and associate with everybody, come to like the RIAs, get to shake hands, find deals from other sources.
Right.
But it also says that you can't be a one-trick pony. You can't just be doing rehabbing in a market like this. You have to be doing other things. Like you have to lean into like maybe some lease option control, right? Like, are there deals that you could pull that are not as discounted to rehab, but yet there is enough equity in it? You could control it, create cash flow, make some money up front. You got to be able to diversify yourself in a very competitive market.
Diversity is always good, but I think it's so important now.
Yeah.
Because you're going to talk to people that have houses they need to get rid of, motivated sellers.
Right.
But you can't make it work.
Right.
And if you don't have the option to do a lease option.
Right. The specialized skill sets to be able to look at multiple leads and have different strategies to deploy, right? I mean, even the rental market's tough right now. I mean, I ran into a deal last night.
Sorry.
I ran into a deal last night that kind of fell in my lap. I was pretty excited about. It was a 20-unit apartment building. And, I mean, I think I can get it for like $380.
Oh.
Yeah, $380. The rents are like $400 a door. Needs a little work. Needs about $50,000 in work, but
that's a great deal.
That's kind of where I was at on it. But that wasn't on the market.
No.
It came from just my network, somebody I knew that said, "Hey Zach, I'm selling this building because I'm going to go do some other things with this money. I'm willing to, just let it go right now if you want to finish the remodel." I was like, "Hey."
You know what scares me is I told you about this when I found a 10-unit apartment complex.
Yeah.
And the guy had it priced for $275,000, and the rent was really low. And I said, well, I don't know about that. But I called him back the next day. He said, oh, it's already sold.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm telling you, that's how it is right now.
It is.
I mean, if you've got a unit, like multi-unit, 4-plex, 8-unit, 10-unit, man, they're gone. They're gone. Listen, we're talking to students, and I have students all over the country, and we're talking to students in like Washington and Ohio and California and New York. And when we say, oh, well, we're based out of Huntsville. Oh, really? Huntsville's a great market. Like, it is everywhere.
It is.
Everybody is like, Huntsville, 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 Huntsville. They're coming in from all over. Hence why our market is so strong right now.
Yeah, I heard on NPR just about an hour ago that, they're building that Toyota Mazda plant in Huntsville right now. It's like, oh, thank you. And that's a national broadcast of National Public Radio.
Oh my goodness. You know, the old saying goes, buy real estate and sit and wait. Just hold on to it, right? Okay, well, let's dig into limestone. Let's see what's going on in limestone. So limestone back in April had 194 units sold, and in May it popped up to 201, but there again we see the same thing in June like we did in Madison. It dropped to 173.
Another important factor is we were supposed to do this video on the 1st.
Yeah.
I pulled this data on the 1st.
Yep.
And realtors don't always get those sales into the MLS that
by the
day.
first.
Yeah.
Right.
So the numbers I expect to be down a little bit
For June.
for June because I pulled it on the 1st.
Okay. So it could be off
A little,
a little. Gotcha.
but not much.
And so if we look at volume sold, 44 million in April, 48 million in May, and 43 million in June. What's important to know, though, is if we look at the year over year, I mean, even last year in limestone, it grew in April from 31 to 44 million. Last year in May, it grew from 39 million to 48 million this May. And then last year, June, 44 million. This year, June, 43.9. So not even, what's that? $200,000. So it's really the same. So, I mean, we're seeing growth in May and June. Obviously, we're not seeing it in, we're seeing growth in April and May, but not in June this year. And that's because of inventory.
How you like that? I added the inventory column.
I saw that.
Yeah.
I did saw that.
You like that?
I saw that.
We're not having to pull the calculator out.
I saw that. Because I remember that wasn't on there last time.
Right. But that is important. I wanted to mention that, the inventory and I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but the inventory is 3.18, 3.19. It's low.
It is.
In all of Madison County. That's not just the cities.
Yeah. I mean, limestone's like 3.08, and then May is 3.09. I mean, that's super low.
And look at Morgan.
Yeah.
Morgan was 3.96 and 3.5, 3.57.
But here in June, they're back up to 4, which is about the national average.
Which, again, that might be because I pulled it on the 1st.
Right. Yep, that's true. The other thing that's important to know is the active listings. The actives. So if we look at like limestone, 589 in April active. From a year ago, it was 635. So there again, inventory shortage. If we look at May, 622 active. A year ago, it was 630. So that's about the same. If we look at June, that's a big drop. So their actives is 584 in June, but it was 659 a year ago. That's a big drop.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
That's a big drop right there.
Yeah.
11% drop from a year ago.
Right.
So the good news about limestone is the fact that it's growing, because if we go back and look at his average sales, I mean, I'm just shocked. I'm shocked every time we look at this data at limestone's average sale. So April was 231. Listen to this, though. April in Madison was 239. April in limestone was 231. If we look at May in limestone, it was 241. If we look at May in Madison, it's 258. Then we look at June in limestone, it's 254. And June in Madison's 260. Mm-hmm. I mean, like, they are literally nipping at our heels.
They are on price.
On price.
Yeah.
That's incredible for limestone.
That's a huge increase from what it was.
Yeah, because if you think about it, look at May on limestone. A year ago was 216, and in May of last month it was 241. April a year ago was 206. April of this year was 231 in limestone. That's some. I mean, if you're sitting on houses in limestone, you're doing good.
Oh yeah,
you're doing real good.
Yeah,
I'm sure our limestone investors and agents love that.
Don't we wish we had a crystal ball to know that it's
2 years ago?
A year from now.
Oh, right.
What's it going to do?
Right.
Is it going to go down? And you can sell them and buy them back.
That's right. That's right. I'm all about down markets, because here's why. I think down markets are kind of like spring cleaning.
Uh-huh.
You know, it like gets rid of a ton of people because they all get scared and they run off. And then like the more seasoned investors, they know like, hey, I just need to be patient, let prices drop,
Right.
let people run, then come in and buy these things cheap again,
Exactly.
rent them out, sit on them, let the market come back up, and then choose what to do.
And that will definitely happen in the
Yeah.
multifamily.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it happened, think about 12 years ago. We
I
went
know.
through the same cycle.
Exactly.
We had all the California and out-of-state investors here 12 years ago, pushing those prices up to 140. They weren't as high as they are now.
No, true.
But they got them to 140, I think 145. And then by 10 years ago, they were all coming down.
They were coming down.
And
Some of them even in foreclosure.
Yeah, well, that's where we bought a bunch of ours.
Mhm.
60, 80, 90, $100,000.
Right.
So I wish I'd have bought more of them.
Yeah. I know. Really.
I bought a lot, but not
Yeah.
enough. Okay, so let's dig into Morgan County.
Okay.
So Morgan County, you know, April, it had 127. It's up from a year ago in April, with 117 to 127. May, it went to 141. And then a year ago was 137. So that's good for Morgan County. It's growing.
Yep. Still growing.
Then June, they see the same thing every other county seeing. It drops. 121 in a year ago was 130. So
Dropped 7%.
all three counties have done the same thing.
But I still attribute that to lower inventory
Yeah.
because I've never seen 4.12 inventory in Morgan County.
Well, and if you look, June -9 in Madison, June -6 in Limestone, June -7 in Morgan, and the units sold.
Right.
Same scenario. We were -3 in volume sold in Madison, and we're -4 in Morgan in volume sold for June.
And again, I'm thinking that this is,
Because of the pulling on the first?
yeah, it's not going down. It's because not necessarily just that. It's June is vacation month when
Yeah.
people get out of school and they take off for the beach.
Yeah.
But I'm still working with buyers. We're going around finding houses they like and submitting an offer, and we get outbid.
Really?
Yeah, it happens a lot, and that's why they're not paying. They're not asking for closing costs now it's because they don't want to get outbid, and they know if they ask for closing costs, chances are good that somebody's not going to ask for closing costs.
That's good.
So the market's still good. It's even though the numbers are down a bit.
So here's something different. I'm noticing something different about Morgan County other than all the rest of them. If we look at average sales, April, the average sales price was 168,000. In May, it was 167,000. So April to May, Morgan County didn't really go up in its average sales price. But look at June in Morgan. It went up to 172,000, where all the other previous ones didn't have that big of a jump. That's pretty good. So average sales price is going up in Morgan.
It is.
From a year ago in June, it was 167.
Those frustrated buyers that are not finding a house in Huntsville that
They're going up
within their price range, I tell them, you know, the houses are a little bit cheaper in Decatur, and we go over there and find something they really like.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I think Decatur, Decatur's definitely a spot to.
Yeah.
Decatur is like Athens, I think, has already hit its growth spot. I mean, obviously the data says that.
Right.
If you were trying to get in there and position yourself, you should have done that a year or 2 years ago. I think Morgan County still has that positioning. There's
believe
still
so.
there's still a lot of room for growth in Morgan County.
you can get more house for the same dollars.
Right, and I think it's bound to happen. I don't know if it's this year or next year or the year after, but it's bound to happen. I mean, you can't have the two counties right next to you selling at 240, 260 on average sales price, and you're still selling at 160 to 170. Yeah, I know a lot of people will say, oh, but you know, the economics there are just not as strong enough, but that doesn't stop bedrock communities from growing all over the country, right? They work in Huntsville and live in Decatur. Not saying that the Decatur's economic indicators are going to support that price point, but working in Huntsville or Madison will support those price points.
Right.
So,
And with that inventory now down to, you know,
up 4.12.
Yeah. 4.12 was the highest inventory. It was 3.6 and 9.
Yeah, they still have a lot of inventory compared to the other two. So I mean,
Not
that's
a lot. That's close.
I mean, but I'm just saying, like, there's a huge difference from, let's just say, June 4.12 in Decatur versus Madison 3.4. You may not think, if you're watching this, you may not think, oh, well, 3.4 to 4.12, that's only, 0.6 or 0.7. That's a lot. When you consider, when we're talking to how much inventory is out there, 2,000 available in Madison, 600 available in Limestone, 500 available on the market right now. I mean, that little 0.5 really affects your ability to get a deal or get outbidded.
True.
I mean, it really does.
It does.
So,
But also remember that in Morgan County, and that's not on the sheet, but in Morgan County, the inventory was 5 point something a year ago.
yeah, that's right. I remember that. I do remember that. Yes, it was like over 5.
It was sometimes up to 6.
Yeah, I do remember that.
So
So that's a big drop for Morgan County.
it is.
That
And the
is a big
inventory's
drop.
down, price is going to start.
And that's a good perspective because we don't see that because we're constantly looking at Madison County. And we're like, oh man, I need more inventory. I need more inventory. The challenge is yeah, we all want more inventory, but when we get more inventory, prices go down.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
like, oh, prices go down. So a key indicator is watching that inventory. As that inventory goes up, you can pretty much guarantee that those prices are going to start going down a little bit. I mean, you may not see a 20% drop, but you're going to see some drops because sellers are now in competition with each other and they're just trying to get rid of it. And they're giving credits and they're giving closing fees just to get it sold.
There you go.
But when
When the
inventory,
inventory's high.
when
yeah.
inventory's high, that's
Yeah.
right.
But now I loved your story about that sale that you just did. They asked for closing costs, so you just increase the price to help pay for that
I
closing
said,
cost.
well, look, here's
Well,
an
that's-
option.
Yeah, it
Like,
works good.
Yep.
So-
Like just raise the price. So, and that's a good option, but you also got to make sure that it's going to appraise.
Oh yeah, that's always your secret.
That's the other side. I mean, I think this one, we priced it right. I think it won't have a problem appraising.
Yeah, that's key.
Yeah.
If you price it right,
Yep.
don't pay closing costs.
Right. So anyways, the outcome from this, if we look at April, May, and June, is the markets are just pumping away right now. Inventory's low, so yes, you as an investor, you're having a hard time finding deals. Well, let's say this: you're having a hard time finding the deals with equity in them to flip, but it doesn't mean there aren't deals out there.
Right.
They're just not exposed to everybody.
They're not on the MLS.
That was like a deal that we talked about when you first got here. I mean, that came from somebody who was out digging and she found a deal.
Right.
It's not on the MLS, but that's one that could make money in.
Exactly.
So and it's really about you guys understanding, like, not only just keeping up with this data, but if you're watching this and you're saying to yourself, man, I'm having a hard time, it's because you gotta start thinking about where are you looking and where are you not looking. How big's your network? Are you networking? Are you getting to know the right people? Are you out there shaking hands? And are you really starting to think about marketing? Because right now you want to be in this. I mean, all this says that we want to be selling properties, but we got to find them, right? You got to use the marketing strategies to get them. But then there again, what happens when you run across a deal that has very little equity in it and it's been sitting on the market forever, right?
Yeah. You got to find an option.
You got to get them an option. That's right. Which leans us into more of like a lease option type approach or any type of seller financing. That was how we found this building. It was on the market for almost 3 years. And we came in and did a, what did we do? Land installment contract. We did a land installment on this one. So
owner financing.
yeah, owner financing on it. It was just finding them that for some reason, and look, you should have seen this building when we walked in it the first time. It had house carpet in this. This is an office building. Like, it had the thick house carpet in it. I was like, oh my God. Like, you can't roll a chair around on that carpet.
If I remember correctly, you came in here and you said, oh God, good.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was excited. I was
You
like,
saw opportunity.
I was like, we can do a lot with this thing. So, yeah, that's very true. That's very true. Very true. So, all right, guys. Well, listen, that's what we got for you on Market Overview with Zach and Steve. We look forward to seeing you guys come out to the RIA. Come up, shake our hands, see what you got going on. I'm a buyer. Steve's a buyer. we'd be happy to look at any deals you have or give you some direction or point you in the right way if you just have a few questions or you might need a contact. Whatever it is, we're here to help at the RIA. We like to say we bring people together to connect so they can learn and then they can grow. And that's what we do at the RIA. So we look forward to having you out. We'll have these sheets underneath the video so you can click them and download them. Thanks for Steve for putting this data together.
My pleasure.
I know you were very interested in getting this one out.
I wanted to get that information out.
No, that's
right.
good information. Buyers are not offering closing or asking for closing.
Right.
That's good to know. If we all connected like that.
Yeah.
So, hey, until the next one, keep your eyes open, keep them sharp, keep close to the data. The data never lies, and that's why we do these. Zach Childers here, and I'll see you later.
See you later.